Around 6 in the morning, Israel time, fighter jets take off from military bases armed with long-range precision missiles. According to CIA and Israeli intelligence, a significant portion of Iran's leadership has gathered at a government compound in central Tehran. Among them is Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the country's supreme leader. 2 hours and 5 minutes later, the missiles hit the compound. This is how the Israeli and U.S. conflict with Iran began. What happened next, and why the consequences reach far beyond the Middle East? To understand how it came to this, we need to go back. Until 1979, Iran was an authoritarian monarchy ruled by Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, backed by the United States. When the regime was overthrown during the Iranian Revolution, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini took power and established the Islamic Republic. Khomeini declared America the Great Satan and Israel the Little Satan. Opposition to Israel became a strategic and ideological pillar of the new state. Khomeini died in 1989 and was succeeded by Ali Khamenei, a cleric who rose quickly through the religious hierarchy. Under his leadership, Iran built a network of anti-Israeli militias across the region, known as the Axis of Resistance, including Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis in Yemen. Iran poured billions of dollars, weapons, and military advisors into this project over 4 decades. In 2002, Iranian dissidents exposed 2 secret uranium enrichment facilities. Enriched uranium can be used for nuclear reactors or for nuclear weapons, a concern the West had harbored for years. Iran repeatedly denied pursuing nuclear weapons. Khamenei even issued a fatwa, an Islamic legal ruling, banning their production. What followed were years of cyber attacks, assassinations of key scientists, and diplomatic pressure. In 2015, the Obama administration and Iran signed a nuclear deal that limited Iran's program. But in 2018, Trump pulled out of the agreement and reimposed sanctions. In June 2025, Israel and the United States struck 3 Iranian nuclear sites in what became known as the 12-Day War. Around 1,200 people were killed in Iran. By late 2025, Iran's currency had collapsed. Food prices soared. In late December, mass protests swept the country. Thousands demanded the end of the Islamic Republic. The regime crushed the protests with brutal force. Internet access was shut down nationwide. According to human rights organizations, over 30,000 civilians were killed and 50,000 were arrested. Trump called on the Iranian people to overthrow their government. He deployed a second aircraft carrier to the Middle East. On February 27, 2026, 1 day before the strike, Oman's foreign minister announced a breakthrough in negotiations. Iran had agreed not to stockpile enriched uranium and to allow full IAEA verification. Peace was within arm's reach. Talks were supposed to continue on March 2nd, but on the morning of February 28th, everything changed. Saturday, February 28, 2026. Around 9:40 in the morning in Tehran. This government compound sits in the center of the Iranian capital, a short distance from Hor Square. It houses the offices of the Iranian president, the National Security Council, and the Supreme Leader's Chancellery. Since 2025, the CIA had been tracking Khamenei for months. During the 12-Day War, the agency learned how the Supreme Leader and the Revolutionary Guards communicate and move under pressure. They mapped his locations and studied his patterns of behavior. They were confident he was here today, and they learned something critical: a meeting of senior Iranian officials scheduled for this morning at the compound. Israeli intelligence confirmed that the attendees would include IRGC Commander Mohammad Pakpour, Defense Minister Aziz Nasirzadeh, National Defense Council Head Admiral Ali Shamkhani, and other high-ranking military figures. The original plan was to strike at night, under the cover of darkness. But they decided to change the timing. This opportunity was too valuable to miss. Around 6 in the morning, Israel time, the jets took off. 2 hours and 5 minutes later, long-range missiles struck the compound. At the moment of impact, senior national security officials were in one building. Khamenei was in another, nearby. Satellite images show heavy damage. Black smoke rises over the compound. The following day, Iranian state media confirmed it. Ali Khamenei was dead. Also killed, General Abdolrahim Mousavi, Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces, Admiral Ali Shamkhani, Head of the National Defense Council, General Mohammad Pakpour, Commander of the IRGC, Aziz Nasirzadeh, Minister of Defense. According to Israeli media, a total of 30 senior Iranian officials were killed in under 30 seconds in the opening strike. Israel called the operation Roaring Lion. The United States called it Epic Fury. It had been planned for months. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian survived. Ali Larijani, Secretary of the National Security Council, vowed that Iran would fight to the end. The strike on the government compound was only the beginning. In the hours that followed, Israel destroyed Iran's air defense systems around Tehran. In a third wave, around 200 Israeli fighter jets entered Iranian airspace, the largest combat mission in Israeli Air Force history since the Six-Day War. The goal was to destroy as many Iranian missiles as possible, as quickly as possible. About 30 minutes after the initial strike, the United States joined in. American strikes focused primarily on eastern Iran. Warships launched Tomahawk cruise missiles. Ground forces used rocket systems. Trump later announced that American forces had sunk 9 Iranian warships. The submarine USS Charlotte torpedoed the Iranian frigate Iris Dina off the coast of Sri Lanka, the first ship sunk by an American submarine since World War II. Trump posted a video address announcing the military operation and calling on the Iranian people to overthrow their government. Netanyahu did the same. Shortly after these addresses, an airstrike hit a girls' elementary school in the southern Iranian city of Minab. Iranian authorities reported that at least 175 people were killed, most of them children. The school was in close proximity to an IRGC naval base. U.S. Central Command announced an investigation. Iran activated Operation True Promise 4. Hundreds of missiles and drones were launched at dozens of targets across the Middle East. More than 200 missiles were aimed at Israel alone. Drones struck a terminal at Dubai International Airport. Luxury hotels including the Burj Al Arab and the Fairmont on the Palm caught fire. Missiles hit the headquarters of the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet in Bahrain. 66 ballistic missiles were launched at Qatar. In Saudi Arabia, Prince Sultan Air Base was attacked. In Kuwait, drones struck 2 passenger terminals at the international airport. In Jordan, the military intercepted 49 drones and ballistic missiles. Debris from an Iranian missile killed 4 civilians in Syria. The Houthis in Yemen announced they were resuming attacks on commercial ships in the Red Sea. Iran blocked the Strait of Hormuz, through which a significant share of the world's oil supply passes. Before the war, around 130 ships transited daily. Now, fewer than 6. 1 month later, the war continues. On March 8th, the Assembly of Experts appointed Mojtaba Khamenei, the slain leader's son, as Iran's new supreme leader. The regime did not collapse, as the US and Israel had hoped. Iran has launched over 500 ballistic and naval missiles and nearly 2,000 drones since the war began. Roughly 40% have been aimed at Israel, and 60% at American targets in the region. According to the Iranian Red Crescent, by March 27th, at least 1,937 people had been killed in Iran and over 20,000 wounded. The human rights organization Hengaw, which independently verifies the data, reported over 6,500 killed in Iran by March 25th, of which 59% were military. In Israel, 19 people have been killed and over 5,000 wounded by Iranian attacks. 13 American service members have been confirmed dead. In Lebanon, Israeli strikes have killed over 1,100 people, including more than 120 children. Over 800,000 have been displaced. Oil prices surged past $110 per barrel before stabilizing around $90 to $100. The International Energy Agency approved the release of a record 400 million barrels of crude oil in response to the crisis. Protests erupted around the world, in the United States, Europe, Pakistan, both against the Iranian regime and against American intervention. Legal experts and international observers raised questions about whether the strikes violated international law. Critics called the war a war of choice, not a war of necessity, pointing out that by America's own intelligence assessments, Iran was years away from building a nuclear weapon. Trump issued an ultimatum to Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, threatening to destroy Iran's power plants. The deadline was extended twice, most recently to April 6, 2026. Pakistan stepped in as a mediator in negotiations. By the end of March, Iran had struck nuclear and industrial targets, and Israel had responded with further assassinations of senior military commanders. The Houthis officially entered the war with missile strikes on Israel. The situation continues to escalate. The consequences of Operation Epic Fury reach far beyond the Middle East. Global energy supply chains have been disrupted. Diplomatic relationships across the region have been reshaped. And the question that remains, will this war lead to regime change in Iran, or will it become another endless conflict in the Middle East, still has no answer.